Hi YouTube, Eric Drake. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to shoot a video tonight and tell you a little bit about why I call my channel The Fourth Crisis. Now, I've been thinking for quite some time about where our country's going and the future of our country and what we can do about it, what we can do to survive, what we can do to make sure that we have some type of future, some type of viable future in this country. And here's what I've come up with. Okay. I feel like that in the history of our great nation that there have been, up to this point, there have been three great crises. The first being the American Revolution, where quite simply we established ourselves as an independent republic, and it's where we created our identity. And it made possible all the great things that have happened throughout our history. The second great crisis in the history of our nation was the War of 1812, and a lot of people overlook that. It's kind of a forgotten episode in our history, but it's the only time in the history of our republic that a foreign power has successfully invaded our mainland. Not only that, but they captured our capital, burnt the White House, amongst other federal government buildings. And really the very existence of our nation was in doubt for quite some time. The third great crisis that we faced was the American Civil War. Now, depending on which side of history you're on, either if you look at it from the northern side, then it was a war fought to preserve our republic. If you look at it from the southern side, then it was a lost cause, a revolution for states' rights that didn't succeed, unfortunately, from your point of view, and fortunately from some others. I kind of have mixed feelings on it. I'm a states' rights person, but on the flip side, because the Union won the war, it allowed our country to stay together, and it allowed our country to accomplish all of the many great things that it went on to accomplish, for not only for ourselves but for the entire world. So I'm grateful for that. But anyway, the three great crises that where our country things just hung in the balance for our country: the American Revolution, the War of 1812, and the American Civil War. Now I feel like we're in that fourth crisis. I don't know exactly when it started. That would be very hard to pinpoint. Some would say that things were set into motion at the end of World War II. Others would say that perhaps in the 1960s with Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society, perhaps that set the things in motion. The Vietnam War and Watergate, maybe that was it. Regardless of what the starting point was, all of those things were contributors to what we're facing now. And what we're facing now is economic collapse. And that is the fourth great crisis that our country is facing. And unfortunately, I don't feel like we're going to come out of this one. I feel like, quite frankly, I feel like the jig is about up here. I think things have about run its course, and I don't see us pulling out of this. I just recently, I guess, started feeling that way. When I say recently, maybe within the past 2 years or so. I think maybe I denied it up to that point, but I'm starting to come to grips with the fact that the future of our country is not the future that I thought we were going to have when my children were born. And the path the country is on certainly isn't one that I want my children and my grandchildren to live in. But it is what it is. All great societies, all cultures, all great empires, they all come to an end. And I think we're there. One thing that, I talk to young people. I have 6 children. And 2 of my children, my oldest children, my sons, both serve in the armed forces. My oldest son is a United States Navy sailor. My youngest son is a United States Marine. And I've talked to them at length about this. And they're like, Dad, what do you think's going to happen? And I've told them just pretty much what I've said here this evening, that I feel like things are changing and something is going to happen. And I think a lot of the young people, including my children, I think a lot of them are pessimistic about their future. And some people call me a pessimist. I tend to call myself a realist. It's understandable why they would be pessimistic. But one thing I think that we all have to remember, especially young people, is something is going to come out of the ashes of what we have today. Things aren't just going to disappear. The people of this nation are not going to disappear. The infrastructure, the bridges, the railroads, the dams, the power plants, all of these things are going to remain. They're not going to disappear. The few factories that we have left are still going to be here. The machinery is still going to be, inside these factories, waiting for someone to do something with it. Our military infrastructure, the hardware, the military hardware, is still going to be here. The very land that we're sitting on right now isn't just going to fall into an abyss and disappear. It's going to be here. So something is going to rise up out of the ashes. And that's where I tell the young people to be optimistic, because you've been given a opportunity that most other people that have ever lived have never been given. You're given the opportunity to build a new nation. You'll find yourself in a very similar situation to what our founding fathers found themselves. With the world at its feet, in some sense. You'll have an opportunity to build something and make it better than what we have now. And I hope the young people don't waste that opportunity. I'm 47 years old. I may have a chance to help build this new nation. I may not. I don't know. I hope I do, but I might not. But the young people, you folks in your 20s, in your early 30s, even if you're a teenager and maybe you're already thinking about these things, be optimistic. Be a survivor. That's what I am. I said in my introduction video that I posted a couple days ago, I'm not a prepper. I haven't prepped, but I am a survivor. And I'm going to survive. And one way that I'm going to survive is I'm going to start doing some prepping. I think I mentioned that in my introduction. But more than anything, I'm going to keep my eyes open, my ears open, and I'm going to learn. I'm going to watch everything that happens. And I'm going to be on here talking to you about it. So I hope that you're doing the same thing. I hope you're learning and listening. Watching what goes on around you, taking it all in. And I hope that you, like me, are prepared to survive. So that's about it this evening. The 4 crises: the American Revolution, the War of 1812, the American Civil War, and what we have today. It's not named yet. Maybe I'll come up with a name. Maybe you have suggestions for a name. But it certainly is our 4th crisis. I'm going to do everything I can to meet the crisis head on and to come out on top. I hope you do the same thing. I'll be talking to you frequently. look for my videos. I'm going to start branching out, doing other things, talking about other things, livening things up a bit. So until next time, this is Eric Great. Have a good evening.